These people have to go all out and become the foot soldiers of attracting those types of investors who have the capital that the country desperately needs. So this is a follow-up on his commitments at the State of the Nation address, in that he said he wanted to convene an investment summit. Now, of course, that investment summit or conference is now earmarked to happen towards the second half of the year, around August or September. So what he then wanted to be able to do is to sort of get as many people to sort of buy into that conference as possible. So the idea behind appointing these 4 envoys is to say, these are the people who've got the business networks locally and across the globe who can actually go and get new delegates or new people that will come and attend this investment conference. And also what he's done is that he's given them, a financial target, which is to say we're trying to raise $100 billion over a 5-year period. So of course, given that it's such ambitious targets, these people have to go all out and become the foot soldiers of attracting those types of investors who have the capital that the country desperately needs. The 4 individuals that are on board are essentially, firstly, Trevor Manuel, who's probably just the de facto leader of the team. So Trevor Manuel is obviously a former finance minister, and then he was also the minister in the presidency for monitoring and evaluation, something that is still quite obscure to most of us. So of course, what he then brings to the table is the fact that he's obviously mastered the policy and the government aspects of it when he was a finance minister and also a minister in the presidency. But also he's had some very good exposure to the private sector. He chairs a couple of boards out there of listed companies. So of course what he then does now is that it brings a balance between the private sector understanding and also just what the public sector issues are. So that's why he would be a type of person that you want to put in there. Obviously Jonas, on the other hand, was a deputy minister of finance. So the problem here that I sort of highlighted this morning is that for me, what you wanted to see in this team was diversity. And when we talk about diversity, it's not just the gender and the racial diversity to speak about, but in this case, it is a diversity of ideas, a diversity of expertise. So you're then thinking that, well, obviously Jonas probably has the same skill set that Trevor Manuel brings to the table. So what value are we getting out of him in his capacity as a participant in this delegation? So of course, I do think that he does have some credibility with a lot of people politically and socially, so that's what sells it for him. But I would have probably looked into another skill set altogether, because I do think that it might just turn out that we're duplicating the skills that Nkobisi and Trevor Manuel have, given their previous experience. The third member of the envoy team is obviously Jaco Maree, who is the chairman of Liberty and a former CEO of Standard Bank. So of course, in that case, you have someone who's got a very, very good idea of how financial markets and how banking works. And at the end of the day, whether you're trying to raise $10 billion or $100 billion, the facilitators of those investment decisions are going to be the financial system. So you need to be able to say that, okay, guys, once you sort of make this commitment to do this investment, we already have the infrastructure, we already have the expertise to sort of then structure the deals that needed to be structured. So that's why Jaco Maree is probably a good addition to this team. The last member of the panel is Phumzile Mlangeni, and she's probably the relatively newer voice in the conversation, because a lot of people probably weren't aware of her. But she actually does have, a very, very deep history in business. She sits on a whole number of boards. She is the chair of HuffPOst, and she also then just does bring that new element, that new energy, and perhaps that new way of thinking into this team. So she's the type of person that some of us are excited to see that, oh, finally, there's a new name coming across, because everybody else is sort of like a recycling of things that we've seen before, and one has to ask whether they are still in a position to actually give us brand new ideas, or whether we should actually be looking into new individuals or into new skill sets of people that probably haven't been as intimately engaged but have got probably very brilliant ideas out there. So it's always an optimistic exercise in saying that, can we evaluate whether we're really getting the investment that we asked for? And as you highlighted earlier, in previous instances, we've seen that people make the promises, but quite simply don't have the instruments of evaluating whether those promises are materializing into something tangible.